Do you ever notice yourself repeating the same relationship patterns? Like maybe you've been in many relationships that feel really similar, but they're just with different people. Or maybe you have looping thought patterns that are driving you nuts, keeping you stuck in the past or thinking about your ex, even though you really want to move forward. Well, if you are in any of those camps, then this episode is definitely for you. I'm going to go over step number 2 of my 5-step system to stop overthinking your breakup and your past. And we want to make sure you check out my other episodes because I go over the 5 steps high level and I break down each step individually. So my name is Emmi Fortin. I'm a breakup and relationship coach and your love alchemista, here to guide you through this breakup to love alchemy series. And so what that means is that I'm going to guide you through the inner transformation that helps you not just get over someone, but also to really reclaim the pieces of yourself that maybe you feel like you've lost, or the version of you that you want to embody. So stay tuned. Let's get right into it. Step number 2 is all about what can you do to stop your mind from pulling you back into those same feelings of hurt, self-doubt, resentment, frustration. Letting these looping thoughts continue can feel really exhausting. They take away your motivation to do anything in life, even get up out of bed in the morning. They can make you feel really frustrated, or that there's something wrong with you that you keep having these repeating thoughts and you're like, why can't I just get over this? So because you really want to move forward, you're probably irritated that your mind just keeps on sucking you back into the past or into that negative space. And it makes you feel maybe depressed or anxious or just unmotivated to do pretty much anything. I know this because I've been there, and I also help people who are in this situation. I've spent hundreds of hours talking to people about these very things. So I do understand how you might be feeling. So step number 2 of my 5-step system to stop overthinking your breakup and your past is to reconnect with you. And there's 2 specific ways that you can do that. So I just want you to think about that phrase for a minute. Reconnect with you. What do you spend, not just you, but everyone, what do we spend most of our time dwelling on and even obsessing about when we're going through a breakup, or we just can't move past a person or even anything? Sometimes it's a scenario or situation in our lives, right? And just the same thoughts just ruminate over and over and over, and we're just stuck in this same loop all day, every day. So this is about reconnecting with you. And there's 2 ways that I want you to do that, because we are so focused on the external things, like maybe what the other person is doing or not doing, or the actual situation itself. We can't always control what's outside of us, but we can control what's going on inside of us. And I don't even necessarily like to use the word control, but we can be mindful of what's going on inside of us, what our patterns look like, how we're responding to the things that are outside, and we can shift. We have that power. And so this step is really the key to breaking repetitive patterns, and doing that really lays the foundation for you to have healthier relationships in the future, stronger self-love, and really more personal freedom. So when I went through breakups in the past, I thought moving on meant distracting myself. And a lot of people tell me this, oh, I'm really keeping busy. I'm, joining all these sports and hobbies, and I'm doing all these things, right? And we think it's really the things that we're doing. Like, I'm starting new routines. I'm, really throwing myself into work. I'm filling my social calendar. For me, it was going out salsa dancing all the time, like multiple times a week, and then partying on the weekends. And having some of these things in your life is really healthy, right? Like, it's good to have friends. It's good to get out of your house and not isolate. But when they become distractions from you dealing with what's really going on inside of you, that's when it's not really helpful. And so no matter what I did, my thoughts kept on looping, even though I was doing all of this other stuff. What I realized was that it wasn't the breakup itself that was holding me back at all. It was really my own brain. It was my own patterns. It was the familiar ways that I had learned to cope with stress and challenges in my life. And those were the things that were keeping me stuck. So for me specifically, it's what I call my codependency tendency. And I can definitely do a video on that or go into that further later, and leave a note in the comments if you are interested to learn more about that or if you think you have it. But maybe this resonates with you, everything that I'm saying. So you've tried lots of different things, probably, as I was doing as well. But your mind just kind of keeps on going back to those thoughts, keeps on going back to those feelings. So maybe you feel abandoned or unheard, or maybe even undervalued. And these things are not random. They're part of patterns that are in your brain. And a lot of these patterns might have been repeating since childhood. And oftentimes they're there to really protect you. They're there as a mechanism to try to keep you safe. And yet, those very same things that are trying to keep you safe are actually now holding you back from being able to live life fully. So I kind of like to think about this step number 2 as a process that takes a little bit of delicacy, a little bit of time. Think about it like making tomato sauce from scratch, okay? Ooh, I can just smell all the herbs, all the basil. You can't rush making the perfect tomato sauce, okay? You have to select the right ingredients. You have to steam the tomatoes just long enough to be able to peel them. You have to let them simmer so that the sauce doesn't become too acidic. You have to stir in the flavors and the herbs. Every step of making the tomato sauce matters, right? And so healing after heartbreak kind of works the same way. There are all these different steps that you can bring yourself through that just peel back one layer after the next until you get to the heart of the problem, okay? You need to uncover the root of everything. That's kind of step 1. So go back and watch that video. And so layer by layer, you start to kind of uncover these true patterns that are keeping you stuck. And science actually supports this as well. Our brains are wired to prefer familiarity, okay? We gravitate toward what we recognize, toward what we know, even if it's not supportive or healthy. We're like, oh, I know that behavior. It feels comfortable, even though it might be painful. We are more likely to gravitate toward what's familiar than what is unfamiliar. And sometimes the unfamiliar is actually a better choice for us. And so that's why these kind of ruminating thoughts that you're having are just feeling so automatic. They're the brain's way of keeping you safe, keeping you kind of stuck in what you already know. You have already developed a coping mechanism, a coping strategy for what you know. You might not have one for what you don't know yet. Now, when I'm saying the things that you don't know, I'm referring to uncertainty, basically, in any sense. And from the quantum perspective, where attention directs energy, focusing on our old wounds just keeps your energy aligned with those same repetitive experiences, which might be why you keep on attracting similar experiences into your life over and over, maybe even in different areas of your life. It might not be just relationships. It could be, your work situation. It could be your finances. It could be your friendships. So step number 2, which is reconnect with you, means that you're reconnecting with your true inner self, not your ego self, not your wounded self. And when you can do this, your energy really begins to shift. Your thoughts, your behaviors, your relationships, they can all start to follow the shift that's starting with you internally. So how do we do this? Okay, I said there were 2 kind of steps or ways to reconnect with you, which is step 2. So the first part is to observe your behavioral patterns. So in my 5-day system to stop overthinking your breakup and your past, it's called the Breakup Thought Detox. Day 2, it's a 5-day system. The day 2 exercise is called Look for the Familiar. And so in that exercise, you reflect on situations from your past where similar feelings or circumstances have shown up. And you're not doing it to judge yourself or to feel shameful or guilty. You're really doing it to understand how your brain has been responding to these kinds of situations. And a lot of the times you're not responding, you're actually reacting because you're probably inducing stress in some way. And so we have to kind of notice Have our reactions or our responses been supporting us? A lot of times they're not. So when I say look for the familiar, I'm talking about asking yourself a question after you've done some reflecting, and ask yourself, are there other relationships or situationships? Sorry, I meant to say situations, but situationship is a thing where I have felt this way before. And let's say when you reflect on that, you are like, well, I'm fearful that someone is going to leave me. So maybe that's occurred multiple times in your life. Well, I was, afraid that my other boyfriend was going to leave me too. Or I had a best friend once and, they kind of ditched me at some point and I've been afraid to let people in ever since. Like, it could be anything, right? But you're looking for kind of a similar feeling, a similar situation. And if that fear is like, I'm afraid someone's going to leave me, then that is a fear of abandonment. Codependency tendency often is. And so you want to take a minute to think back. Is there anything else where this has happened? And how did my brain cope with that in those moments? Because that is what we call a coping strategy. This is your way of protecting yourself. And sometimes we will carry these behaviors from our childhood all the way into our adulthood. We might not realize we're doing it, and it doesn't serve us. So some of the strategies I'm talking about, let's say you were in this kind of fear mindset, right? These are just some examples of how you might have reacted or coped. Maybe you kind of retreat. Maybe you kind of pull away. Or maybe you go into people-pleasing mode or over-giving. Or maybe you try to control the situation. Or maybe you look outside of yourself to seek validation. So simply noticing these behavior patterns is completely transformative, because you're probably doing it in other areas of your life right now. And if they haven't been serving you in the past, you have the power to shift them for your present and for your future. This first step is really transformative because it's the opportunity to really reclaim your own energy and reconnect with you, reconnect with that true inner self energy. A lot of people have a hard time seeing their own patterns clearly. So if you want a resource to help you with that and look for that familiar, I've linked it in the description. Again, it's called the Breakup Thought Detox, and it's a PDF bundle I created to walk you through each of the 5 steps. So feel free to check that out. The second part to reconnect with you. So the first part was notice your behavioral patterns. The second part is explore what your role has been in a relationship dynamic. So imagine your life as a movie, okay? If you were watching the characters, it's really easy to make observations. It's really easy to develop opinions and tell them what they should do, right? A lot of people talk to the TV. They're like, don't go back to him or don't go over there, right? It's because you're watching and it's easier to pick things out than when you're actually in the lived experience. So step back, watch yourself as a character, watch your life as a movie, and notice what role your character is playing. Are you frequently in a victim mindset? Do you try to control situations or other people in order to help you feel safe? Are you an enabler or a fixer of other people who just seem to have endless problems and you're their go-to person? Or are you a character who seeks validation externally all the time? By observing these behaviors, like you would observe characters in a movie, you're doing it without judgment, which allows you to gain a lot of clarity. So you can start to see not only your contribution to a relationship dynamic, because remember, relationships are 2 people, both people are contributing in their own way, and that creates a dynamic, which is an outcome, right? What's happening in the relationship. And so this is not about blame, but it's understanding how you have been contributing and how that half got you to an outcome, right? Which in your case might be a breakup or a divorce. So I'm not saying it's like your fault, right? I'm saying that both people contribute in a certain way, and it's your responsibility to know how you contribute to relationships. Do you pick partners that are, not supportive? Do you pick partners that don't respect your boundaries? Do you pick partners that manipulate you? Like whatever it is, okay? And so it's all about reclaiming your own power and kind of knowing that you really do have the ability to impact the dynamic of a relationship much more than you might think. So we're going to reconnect with you so that you can reconnect with your inner truth. And when you can notice these patterns, you can really intentionally start to shift them so that you can have the relationships you really want moving forward. So this is where transformation begins, and noticing the familiar patterns, the roles that you have played, what worked, what hasn't worked. You're creating space for new behaviors, healthier relationships, and also a deeper self-love, which is really important. So in the next video, step 3 of my 5-step system to stop overthinking your breakup and your past, we're going to explore how to loosen the mental grip of those ruminating thoughts that just won't stop going in your head. And we're going to create new narratives. So make sure you tune into that. But for today, in this video, your task is to reflect, be curious, and just observe. If you want guided prompts to support in you in completing these exercises, then check out the Breakup Thought Detox bundle below. You can also join my community, Breakup to Love Alchemy Circle. We would love to have you. It's a supportive community of like-minded individuals all going through the same thing, and I offer some guidance and exercises and skills to help you move to the next level. So you are the alchemist of your own life. Even from the heaviest patterns or the darkest thoughts, you have the power to transform everything. You have the power to transform your thoughts, your energy, your relationships, your life. And you can do that by creating clarity, healing, and also self-love from the inside out. Sorry. So yeah, that's the magic that's already within you. So tune in again. See you next time.